What's going on, guys? It's Nick here, back with another fantasy football video. Quick update before we start this video. The premium rankings still on track to be released about the maybe mid-July to late July. I want to get it out before the preseason because I know some of you, although I don't believe you should be, I know some of you draft before the preseason even starts. I personally draft, and the subscriber leagues will be drafting at the end of the preseason, about a week before the actual season starts. But the premium rankings will be out before the preseason, and then every week there'll be a new update to it, just because things obviously happen during the preseason, and not everything's gonna change. A lot of things are gonna change though in like the middle to late rounds. Early rankings are gonna be pretty secure. Also, the Facebook group's about half full, so if you want to get in there, that's the best way for like drafts, like your mock drafts and stuff. I cannot answer all your questions when you guys are like rate my team in the comments, but literally do any mock draft, post your team on there, and you're going to get a ton of people telling you exactly what they think about your team, how good they think it is, players you should be taking. So check that out in the description below. For this video, it's going to be, I don't know what kind of series or how many parts this is going to be. Probably like 4, because I'm going to be breaking down just the first round in this video, and then the rounds 2 and 3 will probably be next week, and then the following week I'll do like 4, 5, 6, and then probably 7, 8, 9, and then 10 plus. So however many that wasn't counting in my head. That'll probably be how I break it down. This one, I'm going to go over a little faster for some of the people I've already done, because I've already released the top 10 rankings, but this is a little different, so I just wanted to do this one just so I didn't like skip over some guys, because I don't have some of the people at the end of this list ranked in the top 10, and I just wanted to make sure I talk about everyone. So 1 through 12 in this video, and then next week we'll start in with rounds 2 and 3, which will be more players I haven't talked about. So you guys have already heard me talk about some of these guys, but bear with me for that part, and I know a lot of you still have some questions about these rankings. So when I look at the first round this year, I kind of see it broken down into 3 tiers. Now you could make this 4 tiers. I show on the screen now. This is what I see. You could argue that the top 3 running backs are slightly ahead of the wide receivers, but I kind of view that as 1 tier. Like the elite tier is the DJ through Odell. Those are the guys that if you got a top 6 pick, you're getting one of them, and you're pretty confident that they're going to produce as long as they don't get hurt. Actually, you're extremely confident because they're going to produce as long as they don't get hurt. Then you kind of see a slight drop off with this, like, I don't know what color that is, like greenish, teal, I don't know what teal is, whatever that color is on the screen. That Evans, McCoy, Green, slight drop off in talent. Maybe not talent, but also situation and opportunity and everything. Slight drop off in production I see. And then I see another drop off in this like Jordy, DeMarco Murray, Devonta Freeman, like that kind of range. That one also kind of builds down into like the second round. I think some of the guys in the second round are in that same tier. So when I do that video, well, I guess I'll make it the same color, even though it's irrelevant. But it's not a 3-person tier. I'd have to look at it. It's more of probably like a 5 or 6-person tier. But just looking at the first round, 1 through 12, this is what I see. So if you have the option to like pick your draft pick, like let's say, I don't know, you guys, what we do in my league is we pick out of a hat, like 1 through 12, and then say you picked 3, you get the 3rd choice to your draft pick. So like 1 and 2 pick 7 and 8 or something. You're like, oh, I want 1, I pick 1. Like that's how we do it. So if you have the option, I don't want 7, 8, 9. It looks like this year because they're all like kind of the same. I guess 9 would be fine, but I definitely don't want 7. But this is what I kind of want. I want to lock up one of these guys because I'm not super high, as you'll see in the next video, rounds 2 and 3. I'm not super high in that like turn. Like you know how in previous years you'll have like maybe like the, I don't know, 12, 13 pick. You're going to get like 2 studs that you really like, which I mean, yes, you are getting 2 studs, but this year I just don't really like that range that's 9 through 15. It's just, I don't know. I just don't like how the teams come out as much with those. But I really like how the teams come out when I can grab one of these top 6, and then I still get a stud in the second round, later in the second round, and then I get a nice 3rd round pick. So I just like how the teams are coming out when you're in these top range. If I had to choose 4, I guess, as of right now, 4 or 5 are probably the best 2. Even 5 would actually be really good because you're ensuring you're getting one of those top 5 guys, and honestly, a running back might slip to you. But this is how I see it. In this first round, that is my ranking in PPR, the exact ranking that these ADPs are. And actually, I should say This is ESPN.com ADP as of, what's today? June 4th. So this video is going up 5th, 6th. This video is going up June 6th, I believe. That's what the ADP is. Could it change a little bit? Yeah, I guess. But this is roughly what it's going to be. And it doesn't say anywhere whether it's standard or PPR, so I don't actually know that. For PPR, though, this is my ranking. I see if you want to go for, and this is what I'm going to do with this video, just kind of like talk about players in general, not specific stats on them, and just kind of like the draft strategy behind why you'd be taking certain guys. So if you want to just shoot for upside in that first pick, and you're in a PPR league, I guess Bell would probably be the highest upside because on a per game basis, he has more receptions. He has slightly less touchdown upside than David Johnson, but he's got more yardage. I mean, he averaged like 157, I believe it was, yardage per game. I want to say it was like, I shouldn't say a number because I'll probably be off. I think it was like 100 rushing and like the 57 receiving. Like he was right at 100 rushing. I could be wrong on that, so don't quote me there. But per game basis, he's got more PPR upside. He's involved more in the passing game, and he's got more rushing upside. And then touchdowns are somewhat fluky, even though you can project Elliott and DJ and Bell. You can project all those guys for a lot of touchdowns, but they are fluky. So you can't really say, oh, he's going to get X amount of touchdowns. You can only really give a range. So if you want to shoot for the stars, in a standard league, it's Bell. Or in a PPR league, it's Bell, then DJ, then Brown, then Julio, then Elliott, then Odell, I would say, in a like upside wise, just because Elliott has a lot of upside, but it's more upside in standard because in PPR leagues, like he doesn't have the upside to catch 60 passes. He just doesn't. Whereas Le'Veon Bell legitimately could catch 90, 100. There's a world where Le'Veon Bell has 1,500 rushing yards, 100 receptions, and 15 touchdowns. Which, I don't know, you can do that math for yourself, but that's a lot of points. So, does David Johnson have 100 catch upside? Yeah, but I would say that, given that they're both healthy, this is the whole point I'm trying to make. Given that they're both healthy for 16 games, Bell has more points. He just does. And the thing that I have him behind is because I can't say that Bell's going to stay healthy for 16 games. Like I can't say that, and no one can. You can honestly, if you gave me the bet over under amount of games he's going to play, I'd probably set it at 13. So if you wanted to go 14 would be like the over, 12 would be the under. I think that's probably a good mark to put it at, whereas DJ, I'd probably put it 14. I'd give him an extra game, which again, thinking about it right now, it doesn't really make a difference there, but when you're talking about that first pick and I want to lock it up, I just want to pick the guy who's not going to get hurt and still has a ton of upside, and that's David Johnson. So that's why I have him 1. In standard, I have Elliott over Bell because I think the touchdowns and the yardage are more stable. Also, Dez Bryant, well, I guess the passing game in general, has a tough schedule this year. I think they have one of the hardest, if not the hardest, passing schedules, which means they're probably going to rely on Elliott a little bit more. He's secure in the red zone. He's secure in his job. He's got another year behind one of the best offensive lines in the league, probably top 3 offensive lines in the league. Actually, probably one. I'm really not sure. They lost someone, but then they gained someone. I'm not an expert on the Dallas offensive line. I know it's top 3. The Browns are really good. Could they challenge them? I guess, but I still do think that the Cowboys are 1. Someone should tell me in the comment section. Tell me if you know, like top 3, top 5 offensive lines, because I haven't looked any of that stuff up yet. I just know that the Browns improved a lot, and I knew obviously the Cowboys are really good. I'm pretty sure the Falcons have a really good one. I can't name any other teams off the top of my head right now, but anyways, Elliott's just super safe, and in a standard league, I want to lock up that running back that's super safe. So that's why I have Elliott 1, DJ 2, Bell 3 in standard. So then the mixture with Antonio, Julio, Odell. Antonio is the clear-cut 1. I would say that Julio in a PPR league has to be ahead of Odell. Even though you look at it last year, he had less catches. I think that he was a little banged up last year. I'm not sure if he officially missed how many games he missed, maybe like 1 or 2 games, but he was limited in a decoy in some. If he stays healthy and Odell stay healthy, again, it's the same argument. Julio Jones ends up with more points, and I think that although the touchdown upside is higher with Beckham. That's why I have Beckham as the 5 in standard and Julio is the 6. I think in PPR, Julio's upside makes up for it because he has, 1,800-yard upside. He just does. And Odell doesn't have that. You can check in the premium rankings. I have it, but then just ask me for it. The StatMuse chat, or StatMuse stat, I guess, page, where I looked up Odell's. Oh, actually, it's in the top 10 rankings. Just look at that video, my top 10 rankings video. It just shows Odell. Given less targets, he actually doesn't have that many yards. Like I think it's 8 or less targets. He hasn't done very good over his career, and I'm just think there's slightly more concern that with Marshall coming in, he's got. It's not competition for target. It's just that like Marshall, given logic, will receive at least 1 target this year, right? I mean, we can all say that Brandon Marshall will receive at least 1 target this year, which is going to directly take away from Odell. Shepard's still there, okay? Like, they brought in the tight end in the draft. So, although I don't think Evan Ingram's, like, gonna take a bunch of yardage and touchdowns and everything, I just think that when you add pieces, it has to come from somewhere. Like, it's not like Eli is just gonna throw for 7,000 yards to make up for it. So, I think with the less targets, Julio is just safer than Odell, even though it's hard to say Julio is safe, because again, you look at Julio, why he's not in that same class as Antonio, it's the week-to-week consistency. It's Antonio Brown every week that Roethlisberger is healthy, and even the weeks he's not, he gets at least pretty good numbers. But when Roethlisberger is healthy and out there, 5 for 50 is his absolute rock-bottom floor. So when I say in a PPR league that 10's your absolute rock-bottom floor, I feel safe. Julio could go out there and get me 3 points in PPR. And I would be like, yeah, well, that happens. Why do you take Julio so high? Because he's got that 10 for 300 upside that we saw last year. So I still like Julio ahead of Odell in PPR. Both of them are behind Antonio Brown by a wide margin in both formats. And that's it for this top tier. Next, like I said, this next tier is really broken down into 2. I was having trouble making this. Can you argue that Jordy is in this green tier? Yes. If you want to do that, go for it. Go for it. I don't know why I said that because it's irrelevant what tier you rank it as. But I think that Jordy could definitely be in this next tier. I just hold him out because he is getting up there in age, and to pay off, he's gonna need to have a season similar to what he did last year. And I just think that we saw towards the end of the year, like in the playoffs and stuff, like injuries are going to start happening to Jordy. Like, he relies on the separation. He relies on the speed. Is Rodgers a super elite quarterback? Obviously, yes. He's, in my opinion, the second best. Obviously, I'm biased because I think Brady's the best. But Rodgers is on another planet sometimes when he's locked in, so it doesn't matter how much separation Jordy has. I just fear that as he's getting up there in age, we're going to see a drop-off. So for me, I would still take Evans, AJ, and McCoy ahead of him. If you wanted to take Jordy ahead of Evans, I would not fault you. I think that's fine because for me, it's LaShawn McCoy, then AJ Green, then Mike Evans. Right now. Again, that could change. My reasoning for McCoy ahead of those guys is that there are really, and I'm starting to think only 4 now. I was saying Devonta Freeman, but I'm shying away a little bit. I've always said that I'll take the top 3 running backs, McCoy and Freeman. If I'm not doing that, I'm probably going RB0. I think Freeman's going a little too high, like at 12. I thought he was a little bit later. When I was saying Freeman, I was saying like I'll grab a wide receiver in the first round, and in the second round I'll take Freeman, maybe in like that 15 kind of pick, or somewhere in like that 13 to 15. But it'd be preferable around 15, like a middle second round pick's a little better. I can't take Freeman in the first round. I don't recommend that you do. So looking at it now, I guess, if you have to spend a first-round pick, the only running backs I'm taking are Bell, DJ, Zeke, and McCoy. And McCoy thing is basically, if he doesn't get hurt, then he is going to be a top 5 running back. He's got no one challenging him for carries. There is no indication that Sammy Watkins can stay healthy. If he does, he can honestly be a top 5 wide receiver, given the opportunity he's going to have. But there's no indication that he can stay healthy. There's no indication of that. And if Robert Woods is gone, if Gillislee's gone taking, because remember, Gillislee took, what was it, like 8 touchdowns last year? Because Gillislee's a great goal line back. He was literally the goal line back last year. If you guys watched the games, if McCoy is now going to be the goal line back, he's going to be receiving receptions. He's going to be rushing a ton with Tyrod, and Tyrod helps him a lot being a rushing quarterback. I think that, as I've said a lot, locking up a top 5 running back is very beneficial. Why do I go RB0? Well, because it's very difficult to predict a top 5 running back. Last year was an aberration. Whether you believe it or not, last year was a huge aberration in the success rate of a top 5 picked running back, like those first and second round guys. It was an aberration for how many of them finished actually as top 5 guys. It just doesn't happen. And I think the outlook is totally different if Bell and DJ get hurt. So, which they did. It just happened later in the year. The outlook's totally different if it happens early in the year. So, am I fine with anyone going a wide receiver over McCoy? Yes. Will I be doing it a lot? Probably, because I like to go RB0. But I have him at the 7 spot, which again is a pick I hate because I think all those guys are very similar, just because the value that hitting on a top 5 running back gives your team is more than a top 5 wide receiver. And I think that if McCoy stays healthy, which actually he's indicated in recent years he can, he gets banged up in games, but he's still he'll finish the game, or maybe he'll come out of the game after being solid, for giving you solid points. He comes back the next week. He's been decent in the injury department. He hasn't been horrible, especially for a running back. And he's not super old. I think he can still be a top 5 running back this year. I'm very high on him. So I like him at 7, and then I have AJ Green ahead of Evans. Even though both of them have question marks, I mean, AJ Green's question mark is, hey, if Mixon does great, if Eifert's back for the entire year taking touchdowns away, it's not like this is some amazing offense. I mean, it's a good offense, but it's not like it's some amazing offense where, oh, Mixon can do great and Eifert can do great and Green can do great. Everyone can't do great. So I think that his touchdown upside slightly capped while Eifert's on the field, because, I mean, Eifert's a red zone monster. And I think that the upside with Evans is a little bit more, but I feel safer in AJ Green's role. Remember, AJ Green's not super injury prone. It's just that the timing of these injuries has been horrible, absolutely horrible for AJ Green. It just always happens in the end of the year at the highest stakes times, and people are just fed up with it, and that's why his ADP isn't super high. I mean, 9th is pretty high, but let's say AJ Green gets hurt in the first couple weeks and he finishes and has great games in the playoffs and stuff. I think he's going up around 6-7 range. But that's just my opinion. I mean, obviously I can't put anything behind that. For me, I just feel like the safety factor of Green puts him ahead of Evans, because although you guys might feel safe with Evans, he's only good because he was getting all those targets. Now, yes, the targets are going to be better, which I have argued before that, yes, the targets are going to be much higher quality targets. They're going to be, there's going to be less of them, is the issue. Deshaun Jackson, however you feel about Deshaun Jackson, remember how I talked about Odell. Law of diffusion of targets. They got 2 more guys who are going to get targets. Each of them is going to get at least 1 target. That means Evans will have less targets. It's just simple math. You don't just bring in O.J. Howard and Deshaun Jackson and expect them to get the same amount of targets. Plus, they like to run the ball early. Their defense improved at the end of last year, which there was a direct correlation between the improved defense and how many targets he was getting. So, I like it Green, Evans, McCoy. If you want to put them in any order, I guess that's fine because I've ranked them in the same tier. The next tier is Jordy, Murray, and Freeman. And I have Freeman ahead of DeMarco Murray just because look at his carries. I don't have it in front of me, but I guess I never play him in DraftKings, but I didn't play him a lot in DraftKings and stuff just because he's not going to get 25 carries, right? Get that out of your mind. He's not going to get 25 carries. Now, will Freeman? Probably not. But some people are thinking that DeMarco Murray is going to be some super workhorse because they hear the Titans say he can be our workhorse. Well, that's different. That's different than other workhorses. David Johnson is a workhorse in that he will get 25 carries and 5 receptions. That is not in DeMarco Murray's range of outcomes. If Coleman gets hurt, that is in Freeman's range of outcomes to get 20 carries and a bunch of receptions. You get 25 carries in a game. That is in his range of outcomes. It is not in DeMarco Murray's range of outcomes just because, yes, if Derrick Henry gets hurt, he's going to get more carries, but he's never been a guy, or not never been a guy in his career, but he's never been a guy with the Titans where they've just fed. Like, he's generally going to be in that range of 16 to 19 carries. He's going to be in that, like, upper teens carries, maybe gets a few receptions. And the upside for me isn't there because I see Derrick Henry as not some monster like, oh my God, he's going to take his job away. I see him as he's a monster. We need to give him carries at the very least. I don't see it as the same situation with Coleman because if you look at the numbers, they actually correlate together. Coleman makes Freeman better. When Coleman's out, Freeman has worse numbers. When Coleman's in and doing good, Freeman's numbers actually go up. Look at the correlation between them two. It's like the very rare case where they have a positive correlation. It's weird. And also, if you look at it, and if you're playing DraftKings something, throw this in the back of your mind. Coleman's the away guy, and Freeman's the home guy. I don't know why that is. It's just whenever they're home, Freeman does better. Whenever they're away, Coleman does better. Is it every time? No, because you can't predict those things. But it's a lot. It happens a lot. So what I'm trying to say here, essentially, and I'll get to Jordy in a second, is that I think the touchdowns are super safe. I guess I didn't say that, but touchdowns are super safe with Freeman. I mean, he's getting double-digit touchdowns. Murray, I just look at his workload, and I think that look at what he did last year and scale everything back a little bit, which is why he's not a first-round pick for me, because Derrick Henry's going to be there for his carries. He's going to be used in the red zone sometimes. He has a chance to take over. Do I think he will? No, but what if DeMarco, who has been injury prone early in his career, not as of late, he's done a great job as of late staying healthy, but let's say he goes down for a week or two, do you think it's impossible that Derrick Henry takes the job? Like, that's how the NFL works. How good was Jamal Charles? Goes down with an injury. Can Jamal Charles come back? No. Like, Jamal Charles is probably going to get cut from the Broncos. Like, cut. Throw that through your mind. Like, a few years ago, where you're like, oh, Jamal Charles will be cut from teams. No, you'd never thought that was going to happen because there's a cliff. Running backs drop off a cliff. Will DeMarco drop off a cliff? No, I don't think he will this year. I think soon, in the upcoming years, he will. But not this year. No, I don't think he will. But any running back can get hurt. And I think that although I can't predict injuries, if DeMarco's hurt with like a rolled ankle for like a week or two, and Derrick Henry steps in and gets 100 a touchdown both those games, do you really think that DeMarco is going to come back and get 19 carries? No. And I think Derrick Henry's capable of that. So that's why I think not the replacement risk is higher. I think his opportunity risk is higher. Because there's a world where they split. And I don't want my first round pick splitting. Even though you're like, oh, full Freeman could split. Listen, Freeman is not better when he's getting 25 carries. Freeman's going to get you touchdowns. He's going to get you 50 to 70 receptions. And I just think he's safe. I have him ahead of DeMarco, but again, I have both of them in the second round. So I guess I have other guys ahead of them that I'll talk about in the next video. Last guy we're going to talk about is just Jordy. And listen, he's a better standard pick than PPR just because you can rely on the touchdowns more. But I'd say he's similar in both, maybe just like 1 or 2 spots higher in standard scoring. In PPR, he's still fine though. Like I'm still gonna be taking him because I think people are gonna be drawn off by the age. Like, is the age an issue? Yeah, I mean, I'm using it personally as the deciding factor between Evans, AJ Green, and Jordy. But it's really nitpicking when you're at this range. Like, first overall is in his range of outcomes, so you have to take that into account. Is he a first round pick? I would say, yeah. I would say if you're in that turn, like you're in that 10, 11, 12, right where he's going, if you can get him at 12 and then pair him with like another wide receiver, I guess it depends who's in that range. Again, I don't like this range, which is why I don't like the 10, 11, 12 pick like I have in years past. Like in years past, I loved it because like there were leagues where I was getting like Calvin Johnson, Antonio Brown, or I was getting Julio and Demaryius Thomas. Like, it was just nuts. You can't really do that anymore. And I don't like, I mean, after this screen, I don't like any of the running backs, especially in the first round. And I just don't like it. I don't think if you're picking, you got to go top 6 pick, in my opinion. And if you don't get that, I mean, you're at a disadvantage, right? If you're getting the 12 pick, because you have to take someone like Jordy, DeMarco Murray, and Freeman, and then I guess you're stuck reaching, really, in my opinion, on someone in the next range, because like I'll talk about in the next video, a lot of them are really the same pick. So if I can get a similar pick after taking like Julio or Odell or Brown or something, then I just think your team's better off. But I'm not scared of the age for Jordy. I'm just using it as a deciding factor between him and Evans. And I think that come drafts, honestly, in my opinion, I think running backs are going to start shooting up the boards. So I think Jordy might slip down to the late first, like the 12, kind of 13 turn, which is where I feel more comfortable taking him. But that's the end of this video. Stay tuned for next week. I don't know what day it's going to be. Maybe I'll do it the same day. Maybe I'll post it on like Tuesday of next week. The rounds 2 and 3 breakdown. I'll try not to make it too long because, again, I make a rankings video where I'm going to talk about all these players. That's obviously not out yet. That'll probably be sometime in July. But again, you can check out the website if you want to download the rankings right now. They're not all up right now. They're not super updated, but I'm trying my best to update them. It just takes a lot of time. That's the end of this video. If you enjoyed, hit that like button. If you hated it, hit that dislike button. Subscribe if you are new. On the screen, you can click a previous video that we've done, or you can check out our website. That's the end of this one, and thanks for watching.